Back here on the Deen Show with Imam Maustafa Zayed, who is the author of The Lies About Muhammad. Muhammad, we don't worship Muhammad. He is the last and final messenger sent to mankind. He was a messenger just like Jesus, Moses, Abraham, Noah. They all called people to do God's will.
Yes.
Just like in the Lord's Prayer.
Yes.
Hallowed be thy name, thy will be done. This is Islam. Submit to God, not to your desires, not to a man, not to a woman, but the creator of man and woman. So now the last and final messenger, Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, who was sent as a mercy to the world. There's a lot of allegations and lies, childish things that people are doing. We need to be living in peace, cooperating to do good, but obviously you have people who are against doing good and making mischief in the land. So there are a lot of allegations, 155 of them that you covered in this book. Give us some more of these allegations and how you refuted them.
Actually, the real thing that incensed me is that it's not anymore about the controversial issues.
Yeah.
It's about making people hate Islam for obvious reasons that we talked about. So creating something that is really abhorrent and people hate, and try to find something in Islam that you can fabricate and mutilate in a way that make believe that actually Islam is this thing. For example, I'll give you an example. Sayyidah Zainab bint Jahsh was the cousin of the Prophet. He's seen her a million times. And because there are no classes of Islam, his former servant, Zayd ibn Haritha, Prophet Muhammad ﷺ persuaded her to marry him. So she married him. But she kept talking down to him. She's from a noble family, she's the cousin of the Prophet, and he was a former slave or former servant. So what happened is that he kept coming to Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, I want to divorce her. Prophet Muhammad ﷺ in the Quran, in Surah An-Nur, أَمْسِكَ عَلَيْكَ زَوْجَكَ اتَّقِ اللَّهِ, hold on to your wife. Fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, divorce is bad, do not divorce her. Till it escalated, then divorce had to happen. They got divorced, and after 3 months, she's the cousin of the Prophet. He's the one who persuaded her for the marriage. So against the customary of having any of the companions marry her, to honor her, Prophet Muhammad ﷺ went ahead and married her. Here's what Mr. Spencer says. Prophet Muhammad ﷺ went to the house of Zayd ibn Haritha when he was not there. And of course, you know, and I know as a Muslim, that's the last thing Prophet Muhammad ﷺ would do, entering a house of a man while the man is not there. And he's seen Zainab bint Jahsh for the first time.
Yeah.
She's not his cousin anymore, he never seen her. He's not even the one who did the marriage. And she excited his admiration, so he decided to divorce her from his son, Zayd ibn Haritha, now is his son, and marry her for his own self. That's the level and how low things get there.
This is just clear lies and
lies
deceit.
And omission of the fact.
Yeah.
You go to the incident of the famous one, أَوْ مَا مَلَكَتْ أَيْمَانُكُمْ, meaning that a Muslim man is allowed to marry up to 4 women with rules that he has to be fair. She does not like it, she would ask for a divorce. So adultery does not happen. And this is very missed by many Muslim scholars. And in America, the second wife is a human being too. She would walk around as a wife and her children are legitimate. She's not a mistress, she's not a girlfriend. If it has to happen, and it's happening left and right, then she's a wife. If the first wife does not like it, as a major change in marriage, like, you know, whatever that happens, he's a miser who loses his job, or he starts drinking, or violent, whatever that happens in any marriage, these massive changes, she can ask for a divorce. But then in conditions of war, at the time of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allowed him to actually have sexual relationships with more than 4 wives. أَوْ مَا مَلَكَتْ أَيْمَانُكُمْ. What's the story? He calls him 6 slaves.
In his book.
In his book. What's the story? Muslims go to a battle in a harsh desert. They win. Now their wife and children are left over. What to do with them? The trick that they play on you, as if it were in the 21st century in Midtown Chicago or in Midtown Manhattan, is that, you know what they do? The Muslim soldiers take him back home as 6 slaves. But you're talking about the middle of the 7th century in a hard desert. Okay, they would leave him. What would happen to them? Wolves would eat them alive. They're going to be enslaved. They're going to be tortured. They're going to be prostituted. They're going to be killed. What would happen next? You're going to bring him to the Muslim society and leave him without a sponsor. What would happen? You force them into stealing and cheating and prostitution to survive. How are they going to survive? The most civil way is to find a foster for them, a sponsor for them. How would that work? A Muslim man who has the ability and the financial ability to take him exactly as wives, but without giving him the title of a wife. Why? For inheritance right. Because when you're a wife, you have certain inheritance rights and lineage rights. And she would be treated exactly like a wife. She is in the same living standard, and he would be responsible for her. It would be her own reputation. Her children are legitimate and they are his. As soon as she gives birth to a child, then that child carries the name of the father and is free to stay with him or to start his own life without forcing her to become a Muslim or anything like that. Prophet Muhammad ﷺ in the middle of the 7th century said, whoever had such a woman, taught her manners, educated her, taught her how to read or write, treated her well, and then set her free and married her, then he would get double the reward from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
So that woman that you're talking about now, that the man educated her to care
taught
for
her manner, care for her, now she is a wife. If he has, if he has only one wife or for the first time to get married.
Yeah.
A genius solution, a merciful solution. And it's not like, you stay with this man one day and the other man one day. She's like a wife. It's his reputation. Her children are named after him, and there couldn't be any better solution at the time than this.
This is just another detail of the proofs and proofs. I mean, if you really look at this, just because obviously if you go deep into the Quran, you see this memorized by millions. There's no other book like it. The scientific facts tells you what the purpose of life is, where you're going, when you die. Everything is there. No book like it. Challenge from the Creator. If you feel it's from other than the Creator, find one contradiction.
I'll never find it.
But now you see, like in times of war, men see this as an opportunity to rape, to pillage, to hurt innocent women. But you're talking about something that now there's a solution. There's a system. Even at this time.
Look at the mercy of Islam. He calls them sex slaves. And actually, this is the best thing that ever happened to these women, and most of them accepted Islam. And actually, the defeat of their spouses before was the best thing that ever happened to them by their admission. I want to move 500 years forward in the future with the advancement and the better life. And now, imagine 500 years from now, how technologically advanced and savvy and civilized we would be. Go to the Crusades. Crusades came to Jerusalem. On their way to Jerusalem, any Jewish person, child, man, woman, old, young, they killed them all. Without mercy, without cause, indiscriminate killing.
Crusades, not
Crusades.
These were the Christians.
Yes. But we know that this had nothing to do with the teachings of Jesus, peace be upon him.
Yeah.
They hijacked Christianity.
Yeah.
And then when they went to Jerusalem, the first thing is the appetizer. Gathered every Jew in the city. Put them all in one synagogue and burned the synagogue with the innocent worshippers alive inside.
Wow.
Never mind 6 slaves. And then within 6 days, they killed 70,000 living souls, every Muslim human being in the city of Jerusalem, infant, child, recently born, old man, old woman, without mercy. As a matter of fact, in the Arabic language, there's a phrase called ad-damm al-rukab. Blood was to the knee level. That phrase was coined that week in Jerusalem. Robert Spencer, that I refuted his claims here, claims that the Crusaders were just claiming back their properties that the Muslim took from them. As if the Middle East was a Roman property, as if someone like me is actually blonde but does not know it.
Amazing.
And these are the comparisons that they give you, that Muslims took these ladies as sex slaves. Imagine the decency and the treatment and the honor that they gave to these people, and the opportunity without, and I want to add this, forcing them to convert to Islam.
Hold that point. We're going to ask you a question for you to tell us in history where anything was done, if Muslims did these kind of barbaric things in history, or the examples of mercy when Muslims had the upper hand. We want to pick your brain to give us some examples of this when we come back here on the Deen Show.